This is Slam Hockey with your hosts, Peter Wojcicki and Paul Swinbeck. Welcome to Slam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Wojcicki. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I'm with
Paul Zwambag. You can find me at Zwambag, ZWAMBAG. How's it going, everybody? Peter, what is up?
Well, you know, a little bit of everything. The Leafs are actually playing really well right now. I think it's like 3-2 or something in the game. Wow, it's pretty amazing.
Well, yeah, they got to get a 3-goal lead and then give it up in the third period. That's
oh my God,
Leafs hockey.
Yeah, like I said, the Leafs are going to score 4 goals. We just got to hopefully not allow 5. All right. So, what do we have this episode? We're going to team ice with the Colorado Avalanche. We have a special guest today, Jeremy Lambert. He'll be on the show. We're doing our season award predictions. Yes, me and Paul are both going to talk about all the major awards and predict. Yes, it's early in the season, but we're going to try to predict, at least make our selections. And then Paul also has some fantasy up and down at the end. Players that we feel, or at least Paul feels, should have been drafted but weren't. So first off, let's go to trending now. Paul, did you see this on Twitter?
Did I see what?
Did you see Mike Commodore tweeting on Twitter?
No, I did not. I did not follow Mike Commodore.
I follow Mike Commodore. I follow all the hockey players, and and he's one of the beauts. His hair was amazing when he was playing. He wore 64, which I loved. And of course, I'm a bit older, so I had a Commodore 64. And so I follow him on Twitter, and you know what his job is now, apparently?
What's that?
He's an Uber driver.
Oh,
he is an Uber driver. So no, he's just doing it for fun. I think he said in one of his tweets was, somebody's chirping him. So he's doing Uber for fun in Columbus. And when somebody tweeted him like, "Oh, why are you driving an Uber?" And he basically tweeted something like that, he's just trying to keep himself out of the bars. Something to do while not being in the bars. And another hilarious tweet was he actually Ubered Doug Waite's niece.
Oh, that's funny.
So random, so hilarious. He was just doing it for one night for fun, and he was tweeting after every drive or whatever, and it's hilarious. Check out Mike Commodore's Twitter. Hilarious. I think his Twitter handle is at Commie, COMMIE 22. Hilarious stuff, and that's hilarious. I thought it was freaking amazing. What do you have for us in terms of what's going on in the NHL?
Not a whole lot. There's a new signing. I don't know if you saw this because it happened in the morning, Peter, and you're not a morning guy, but Hampus Lindholm finally gets signed to the Ducks.
Oh, wow. They signed him. So what does that mean? They're going to have to make some moves, no?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they already sent Jacob Larson down a couple nights ago, which he was kind of the fill-in guy. They called up Shea Theodore, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, he's another defenseman. Good young defenseman.
Yeah, I don't know what this means for Ricard Raquel, who's still unsigned. Is he not? Yeah.
No, I thought didn't they sign him?
Did they sign Ricard Raquel?
Paul, come on. I'm pretty sure they did sign him like a week ago or something, no?
Well, why didn't we talk about it last week, Peter?
We were a little busy. We had a lot of teams to talk about. Yeah, Raquel signed for like 3.8.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's a lot of contracts and caps space. So I think they're over the cap. No?
Yeah, they gotta do something. There's got to be something that dominoes have to fall. Maybe Fowler gets moved. Mm-hmm. Been rumors Fowler might go to Buffalo. That was a long time ago.
I think Getzlaf is also day-to-day injured. So I don't know if they're going to put him on the long-term IR. I don't think they are. It doesn't sound like it's a big injury. So, yeah, a lot of question marks, and something has to be moved because they've got a lot of dollars on the table right now.
Lindholm, 5.25 for 6 years. That's a pretty good price for Hampus Lindholm. He's a 1-2 defenseman. So I would say he's like top 15 in the league. Would you say that? Top 15? Top 20?
Lindholm, I don't know about right now. I think he's top at least 30 for me. But within a year or two, he could be top 10.
Yeah, he possesses the puck so well.
Yeah, he's good back there. Also trending now is, of course, it's Halloween time, so all the players are going to be doing their Halloween parties. Have you seen the Erik Karlsson posting of his new Halloween costume?
No, I have not. What did he dress as?
I think it's the Black Swan. It is scary.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yeah.
Oh, man. These NHL players, they're beauties.
Oh, they go all out. It's awesome.
And there's going to be that one player that crosses the line that shouldn't, and it's going to happen. I wonder who it's going to be.
Jonathan Toews went as Dead Serious, or...
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure
him and his
exactly
girlfriend.
what it was.
Yeah, it was like it was all black and then white skeleton face, I think.
The skeleton look and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was the Matthews, and who was with Matthews? Was it Hyman or something? And they did Trump.
Oh, nice.
And the reporter who asked the question, that's who Matthews was. So pretty funny. These guys are amazing.
Penguins had a couple good ones. Sheary and I can't think of who else. Maybe Rust was involved, but there was 4 of them that dressed as Mario Kart characters. So they all had like Yoshi. The girlfriends had like Peach and Toad, and there was a Mario, Luigi, a Bowser. They were all dressed, and they were riding scooters with balloons on the back of it. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
All right, let's get into the show. First, we're going to do some Team ISO. If you have been following the show last year, we did Team ISO. We Team ISO pretty much every team, talking about one specific team for 10 to 15 minutes, different team every show. But this year, we're going to have guests. We're going to have team bloggers of the specific team we're Team ISOing. Today, we're going to Team ISO the Colorado Avalanche. And today, we have a guest, Jeremy Lambert. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to talking some Avs hockey.
No worries, no pressures, Jeremy. You're the first guest of Jablam Hockey, so no pressure at all.
Oh, man, I'm a guinea pig in this situation, then.
Yes, you are. So, Jeremy, you write on Fansided?
Yes, milehighsticking.com. It's part of the Fansided network.
Okay. And where else do you write? And you have your own blog?
I have my own blog, wordsonapoll.com. I'd list everywhere I write, but it's literally 20 different sites. So if you just go to wordsonapoll.com, you can read all of my writing.
Wow. Sounds great. I'm saying wow because I'm also still watching the Leaf game in the background at the same time. And Anderson let in another weak goal. Crap. All right. So moving on. We will post on Twitter and the Facebook group where you can find Jeremy, like we said on Fansided at Mile High Sticking.
Yes.
Yep. And your other blog site. So we will post that on Twitter and the Facebook group so people can follow you right on there. And so let's get right into it. You're currently in where? North Carolina?
I am in North Carolina. I'm a East Coast person who loves West Coast hockey.
And why is that? Like, how did you start liking the Avalanche or West Coast hockey, that is?
Oh, my origin story is pretty boring, to be honest. I moved here from Virginia, and there's not much hockey in Virginia.
Yeah.
And the person I immediately became friends with was a big hockey fan. He was a Capitals fan. And I'd never really watched a lot of hockey, but I watched a game, and the Caps were playing the Avs, and the Avs won, and they looked really good. And I was like, well, I'm not going to root for your team, so I'm going to root against you. And so I just became an Avs fan. But then I really hunkered down and did my research and found out, oh, man, this team has a lot of great players like Sakic and Forsberg and Waugh and that whole era. It was like 98 when I became a fan. So right when they were – yeah, when they were really hitting, 2 years after the Cup, so I didn't get in right when they won the Cup, but I stuck with them through those painful playoff losses to Dallas and Detroit.
So have you gone further back to the Nordiques?
No. I mean, I've watched old Nordiques games and stuff, but I didn't have much history with the Nordiques.
Oh, they were so good on NHL 94 Saga. Just throwing that out there.
I played 94, NHL 94. I'll play like any sports video game, and I know I played NHL 94. I, for the life of me, couldn't tell you which team I used, though. I was too young.
When was Chicago was good the previous year, right? Was it 93 or 94 as well? I remember Jeremy Roenick was like rated 99 or something. He was insane.
Yeah, he was pretty good in the game.
Always loved Jeremy Roenick because we shared the same first name.
Oh, perfect. So, of course, you started following the Avs pretty much right after they moved from Quebec then.
Yeah, right after the move to Colorado.
I guess, yeah, when you're a rookie team and they won the cup and everything. So, yeah, that's a great team. They're amazing.
It should have been more cups, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We blew just a couple, like that Game 7 against Detroit, the series against Dallas the year before we did win it. I mean, that could have been 2 more cups right there, honestly.
Oh yeah, it was close. President's Trophy wins and stuff like that. The team was solid for sure.
Yeah, we haven't quite reached that success since that time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because you thought they would be trending towards that in the last few years, and they seem to start trading all their top players like O'Reilly, Stastny, and may I say maybe your favorite player in Matt Duchene?
Yeah, I wrote about this. Yeah, I wrote about this last year when Duchene got off to like the terrible start, and the rumors popped up, and then he scored. He ended up with 30 goals, and he just went crazy after about the 20 game mark. But I just wrote that like they can't really afford to lose Matt Duchene after losing Stastny for nothing, after trading away O'Reilly. And like I like Grigorenko. I think Zadorov's gonna be a good defenseman. But right now, like they're still too young to really contribute. Grigorenko needs to step up playing with McKinnon and Ratnan on Friday nights, and Zadorov, I'm hoping he turns into a top 4 guy. But I just really didn't think they could afford to trade away Duchene after losing, like, arguably their top 2 centers the year before. I think O'Reilly was always the 3rd center at best, but Stastny was definitely the top center on that team after Sakic retired.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. I don't know if Stastny started to not fit. And as well with O'Reilly, it just didn't seem like him and the organization were working on the same, wavelength.
Yeah, I mean, Stastny, they tried to re-sign him. He just wanted to go to St. Louis. Like, from everything I've read, like the money was fine, the terms was fine. He just wanted to go to St. Louis. And when a guy has his heart set on going elsewhere, you can't really change that. Yeah, O'Reilly, it was really just beef with the organization and management. It started with Greg Sherman. It kind of rolled over to the Sakic and Waugh era, and it just never really worked out. And I felt they had to trade him. I like the return they got. It's just that return, I don't know if it's going to be great return until at least next year. Yeah,
like he's a stud player, but at the same time, the return looks like it should be pretty good compared to usually when you trade the most valuable player, you lose the trade. But in the future, I think it might look much brighter for the Avs.
Yeah, Grigorenko looked good in preseason. Not too great thus far. And Zadorov, he's inconsistent right now. He's a big physical defenseman. He has his good moments, and then he just has complete lapses with bad penalties, and where he just doesn't use his physicality like he should.
Yeah, and you're going to expect that from younger defensemen, right? They don't hit their prime till much later than forwards.
Yeah, I always say it takes like at least 2 years for a young defenseman to really grow into what he should be or what he's expected to be. Those first 2 years are always rough for young defensemen.
Yeah, in Buffalo, he had a reputation of not showing up every night, so I think it's kind of turned around in Colorado since he's been there, so hopefully he's found his way and maybe Tyson Barrie can take him under his wing.
Yeah, he's playing with Eric Johnson right now. Barry's on pairing with Beauchemin, and it was the opposite last year where Beauchemin and Johnson were together for pretty much the entire season. I like the change in pairings. I think because Barry can be defensively irresponsible sometimes, Beauchemin covers up in that respect. And Johnson is such a good skater that he can kind of cover up for Zadorov's when he gets lost on defense.
So you're liking the pairings right now?
Yeah, I like the pairings. The forward lines seem to get mixed matched every single game, which I hated that under Wah. I wish they would just stick with combinations and try to develop chemistry that way instead of, well, we're just going to mix and match until we do find chemistry. But when you mix and match after every game, it's kind of tough to find that chemistry. So the forward combinations, Jerome McGinley's not a top 6 guy anymore. I wish he would just go to the third line. But right now he's playing with Duchene and Landeskog on Friday night, and we'll see how that works. I'm very down on Iginla right now.
Yeah. So you're happy that they finally got rid of Patrick Waugh?
I don't know if I'm happy. Like, Patrick Waugh will always be Patrick Waugh, the goalie to me, and in my mind, the greatest goalie ever. And like, you can't take away what he did as a coach or as a player from what he did as a coach. Like, it's two separate people. It's like Gretzky. You know, Gretzky was not a good head coach, but that doesn't diminish what he did when he was a player. Waugh, the first season was great. I think they misevaluated where they were as a team after that season.
I think that delayed the process of him leaving the team by him winning that Coach of the Year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they won the Central, which was and still is the toughest division in the league. Got knocked out in the first round, but it went 7 with Minnesota, and they lost Tyson Barrie in Game 3. If Barrie doesn't get hit by Matt Cook, and not a very legal hit by Matt Cook, then who knows how that series is going to play out. But they just misevaluated after that. Stastny left. They tried to replace him with Iginla. And Iginla's good for 25, 30 goals, but he's not the defensive player that Stastny is. They didn't address the defensive issues. They tried to bring in Brad Stewart, which was just a head-scratching move at the time and will always be a head-scratching move. And they still never really addressed the defense. I like Boschman. I think he's good. I think that third year they might regret a little bit next year, like they are with Iginla right now. But Waugh just didn't – he's a very old-school guy. He didn't buy into the analytics and the advanced stats, and I'm not much for him either, but they're there for a reason, and he just never paid attention to them. I didn't like the way he left, honestly. If he had gotten fired, then, he'd gotten fired for bad performance. Don't leave the team a month before training camp and just leave them hanging like he did. That's really what upset me.
It's funny that you mentioned that Patrick Waugh is more old school and not for the new analytics. But in the funny article that you wrote, what was it? Colorado Avalanche, the shots on goal mystery. Hilarious article. People should go out there and read it. It's on your Fansided. But you mentioned in it that you had a letter received from Patrick Waugh, and he didn't like the whole shots on goal stat. But he thought maybe a Corsi stat would have been better used. So it's kind of funny that you...
So I came up with this article. Again, I have a lot of dumb ideas, and I write about them. And this one was just, I watch Hurricanes games because that's my local team. And if you watch any Fox Sports broadcast, you see the shots on goal counter in the box score. But the altitude broadcast of Avs games doesn't have that. And it's always like, why not? Like, the shots on goal, I feel like, are important. So you can kind of, if you're tuning in the middle of the game, you can kind of see who's playing better right now based on that stat.
Okay.
And so I didn't know why altitude didn't have it. And so I just decided to write a spoof on investigative journalism, and that I went into the altitude broadcast studios and the Pepsi Center, I wrote a letter to Patrick Waugh of why I didn't have it. And Waugh, like, in the letter, Waugh says, I wanted the shots on goal, especially when I was a player, so everyone can see how many saves I had. And
exactly.
And then Waugh gets criticized for not conforming to analytics, and so I thought, well, and everyone, like, what's that?
You'll do the opposite in terms of
like when I put out on Twitter, I was like, how come the Avs don't have shots on goal on the broadcast? And I got a bunch of tweets just saying, like, because the number would be too high, or because, like, Wah didn't want it because he didn't want to show the embarrassment. It's like, well, that seems the obvious way to go, so I'll just go the opposite route and be like, no, I wanted not only did I want shots on goal, I wanted Corsi and all that stuff.
Yep. Perfect. Hilarious. The funny thing is, here in Canada, we kind of find it hilarious that you do have shots on goal in the States, because we have never had shots on goal here.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah,
that's something I didn't. I've always been so used to it with the Fox Sports broadcast.
So we don't have shots on goal on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, nor do we have it on TSN or Sportsnet broadcasts. So nowhere do we have shots on goal. So we find it funny, hilarious.
That's something I've kind of like noticed actually when I was quote unquote researching for this article, is like I've been watching more NHL than ever this year with the NHL TV subscription, and so I'll watch like just random games like the Maple Leafs against somebody because I want to watch Austin Matthews, or the Oilers with McDavid, and I do see that like there's no shots on goal for them, and I'm like, oh, so it's not just an Avs thing. It must just be a Fox Sports thing who does that. But basically every team in America is part of a Fox Sports affiliate, so that's why I'm so used to it.
Yeah, and again, we value more, especially now with the Corsi and everything stats. Possession stats is a little bit more important. And you know what? I wouldn't have mind them putting that up as a graphic every once in a while. What the possession is for the teams controlling the puck or being in the offensive zone. That'd be way more important than shots.
I think the Florida Panthers actually, like during their intermission report, like they really break down. I don't know if they go like full possession stats, but they do like the shots on goal, like block shots, shots attempted, shots that missed the net, stuff like that. So they do a really good job of like showing not only just what went on goal, but like how many shots were actually attempted and got through
and blocked. And yeah, for sure, that's very vital. So let's move more into what you think, how the team looks right now.
Right now,
how are they playing? You know,
5 games into the season. Yeah, they haven't actually played since last Saturday night, and they don't play again until tomorrow night against Winnipeg,
a little bit of a break.
Friday night. So they've had like a week off, which is insane, and I've really missed watching them play. They're 3-2 right now. Honestly, the toughest, I think, opening schedule of anybody in the league. I haven't looked at everybody else's opening schedule that closely, but they started with Dallas at home, and Dallas was obviously won the West in the regular season last year. And then they had a 4-game road trip against Washington and Pittsburgh on a back-to-back, and then Florida and Tampa Bay. And like all 4 of those teams in the East are, you're talking about the best team in the East during the regular season last year and best team overall. The Cup champions, and then the Lightning, who have been to 2 straight conference finals and the finals 2 years ago, and then Florida, who won the Atlantic last year. Like that's a really tough 5-game start with 4 out of those 5 being on the road, and to come out of that 3-2, beating Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay and Dallas, like I think that's a pretty good record, and I think every Avs fan should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of like the Canucks, where they have a great record, but they've kind of played teams that you wouldn't expect to be playing that well anyway so far this year.
Yeah, I've watched some Canucks games, and then the game against the Canes, and they've just had to come back in every game and then rely on Brandon Sutter in overtime or the shootout. But yeah, they've beaten kind of mediocre at best teams, I would say.
Yeah, so it's hard to predict so early. If you had noticed in our predictions, both me and Paul have the Avs at the bottom. And are you in the same boat there, right at the bottom? Maybe not so much.
Yeah, I can't be like too mad. I listened to it today, and when I heard you say that the Avs were in the bottom, like I can't be mad at that because I have them 6. I actually have Minnesota finishing below them.
Okay, we had Minnesota just above.
Yeah, I really don't like Minnesota's roster construction at all, and maybe I'm a slight hater from them knocking us out in the playoffs and the supposed rivalry we've had since then, even though they've dominated this rivalry. But I thought the Avs would be better this year just under Jared Bednar because I thought his system would just be better than was. And I thought the team was just better than they were last year. So I had him 6. I had the rest of the Central above them. The problem with this division is like any team can compete on for those 2 playoff spots. I think the top 4 are kind of set with Nashville, Dallas, Chicago, and St. Louis, but that 5th spot, I think the 5th team in the Central is better than the 4th team in the Pacific, and maybe even a couple of the 2 or 3 teams in the Pacific. This division is just so tough that it's tough to say Colorado is better than like Winnipeg or even Minnesota, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I think almost the same way. Yeah, somebody in this team in this division is probably going to get the 5th spot and probably get a playoff spot. So, who do you have for up and comers this season that are going to play well for the Avs?
Mikko Rantanen makes his season debut on Friday night. He's again skating on a line with McKinnon and Grigorenko, which every Avs fan is excited for him. He played a couple games last year before getting sent to the AHL because they didn't want to burn the first year of his contract. He looked a little bit lost at times. I don't know how much of that was he's just a young guy who didn't quite fit in, or if it was just Wa's system didn't allow him to be that great. But he's a 19-year-old. He's 6'4", about 210. He's a big guy, but he's got real high-end talent. Everyone, like McKinnon's raving about him, and obviously guys rave about their own players, but he was great in the AHL last year. I think he won co-MVP in the AHL for the regular season last year. And in the preseason games last year, he looked really good. Every Avs fan is excited about Mikko Rantanen and his debut tomorrow night. Beyond that, it's a lot of guys in the AHL, Comfer, AJ Greer. Tyson Jost is tearing it up in college right now. He was their first-round pick in this past year's draft. So that's someone, he's not going to make the team this year, but down the line, someone to look forward to. Duncan Simmons, we're still holding out hope that he improves and makes the team next year.
He's been there a while, right, down there?
Yeah, he's been there ever since the Eric Johnson trade. He was the first round pick that came over in the Eric Johnson for Kevin Shattenkirk trade, and so we thought he was going to make the team this year, but he was the last cut on the defense, and so he's just biding his time. Hopefully he can step up and make an impact. If not, then he might try to find playing time elsewhere. Chris Biegra was up last year and played pretty well in limited action. He's another guy that we're looking forward to. So, and Spencer Martin, the goalie, and even Calvin Pickard, he's young. A lot of fans think he's going to challenge Varlamov for the number 1 goaltending spot this year.
For this season. Wow.
Yeah, as early as this season. He looked really good last year when he played, when Varlamov went down for an injury. And so people think if Varlamov slips up at all this year, that Pickard is ready to kind of take that number 1 spot.
Perfect. So they don't look that great this year, but with these prospects that you mentioned, with Rantanen, Grigorenko, and the other guys that are already on the team that are really young still, with Landeskog and McKinnon, do you think they have a good future in 2 to 3 years maybe? Do you think they're going to be a strong contender, a top team?
It's really up to – I mean, they have plenty of young talent, and the problem with young talent is the old saying is potential always gets you fired, because you can bank on potential, but if guys don't live up to that potential, then you look really stupid. And it's kind of been that case with even a guy like Matt Duchene and Eric Johnson, where everyone wants to say Eric Johnson is a number 1 defenseman. I love Eric Johnson. I think he's more of a number 2 guy. Same thing with Tyson Barrie. I think he's maybe a 3 and not a number 1. Matt Duchene, he's my favorite player on the team right now. I really need him to do a little bit more if he's going to be like that leader of the team and really step up that way. And, Nathan McKinnon, kind of the same thing, where he looks brilliant in games and he just misses chances. And, you just want to see him. Like I watching the World Cup, like it kind of, I felt almost bad. Like, man, Nathan McKinnon's good, but I don't think he's ever going to be as good as Connor McDavid, and so that makes you a little sad as an Avs fan.
Well, I don't think anybody is going to be as good as McDavid, and I hope as well here in Leafs land that they don't expect that much out of Matthews as well.
Yeah, that's fair. Putting the Connor McDavid tag on him is probably a little bit unfair, but you know, you see a guy with that much talent, you just hope he can be that good. And like those guys more than anything need to step up. And if they improve and get better, then I think the guys like Grigorenko and Ratinen can fill in good around them. Same thing with Landeskog. He's really got to do more.
How do you feel him as a captain? Like, I love Landeskog. I'm a big Landeskog fan, but being captaincy, a little bit too young, maybe, and you know, to lead this type of team, it's tough.
No, I kind of agree with you. I'm a big Landeskog fan. Giving him the captaincy, I don't know if that was the wisest move. Like at that time, it probably should have been Paul Stastny. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. I understand not stripping him of the captaincy. It might be for the best interest of the team. The big thing with Landeskog is you want your captain to just be a leader on the ice and be smart. And too often, especially last year, just bad penalties late in close games. And as the captain, you just can't do that. And Jerome McGinley's doing the same thing right now as the veteran forward on the team. And he shouldn't be taking all these bad penalties to try to spark the team. And he is, and the penalty kill's not good right now. And so it just ends up being costly.
Yeah, that's true. Paul, do you have any other questions?
No, I've just been taking all this info in, and it's been crazy. Just you guys have been going at it, and I'm just listening and taking notes and putting it in my fantasy hockey bank.
Oh, don't take any odds for fantasy. I don't know about you guys, but I always avoid my team when it comes to fantasy sports. I just can't in good conscience draft anybody from the team that I root for, because then I'll just get double angry at them. Like, not only did you suck and cost the team the game in real life, like you sucked and cost my fantasy team the game as well.
For sure. Back when I used to play Pro Line, I could never touch the Leafs. Never. That would piss me off double time.
See, you guys are Leafs and Avs fans. When you're a Penguins fan, you kind of want some of the guys in fantasy. So,
no, as a Leafs fan, you should want Austin Matthews, and even a guy like Mitch Marner or Nylander. Like they're tearing it up right now as well.
I think Mikko is going to do pretty well for the Avs. I think he's going to come in and be a multi-cat guy. So, I think I got him in one of my leagues.
Hope so. We have high expectations for Mikko. He was the 10th pick, not this past year, but the year before. So, and I think he was the number 1 rated skater out of Europe for that draft. So, high expectations for him.
High expectations for the Avs.
Now, Paul, as a or is it Peter? I'm sorry, that looks really bad on me. Peter, you're the Leafs fan, correct?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I watch a lot of hockey besides just the Avs, and when the Leafs got Frederik Andersen, I wasn't too sold on the move, and it's looking even worse right now. What are you thinking about how he's playing?
Well, if you've been following us a little bit, you know that I wasn't a fan, first off, as the trade, because I've never seen a trade done like that just for negotiating rights to be giving up high picks. So... And again, the Leafs aren't contenders, so why are they going out and trying to get a solid number 1? So that bothered me. And I don't think Anderson has proven anything that much to be given automatically a number 1 starting role spot. So, so far he doesn't look great, and I'm not really surprised at that. So, and again, maybe that's a good thing, because I still want the Leafs to get another top 5 pick this year. And if Anderson's playing well, they won't. So that's how I look at it.
I mean, that's fair. You always want your team, like, you either want them to contend or you just want them to be bad. Like, mediocrity is pretty much the worst place to be, because you miss the playoffs and you don't get that top 5 pick. And so obviously the quickest way to rebuild is with a bunch of high-end picks, unless you're Edmonton and you trade all those picks away.
Yeah. Well, Edmonton Oilers looking pretty good so far, so we'll see.
They are looking good, but they can thank their lucky stars. They landed a once-in-a-generational talent.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. All right, Jeremy, well, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being our first guest. And like I said, what's your Twitter handle?
At Jeremy Lambert 88, very original.
And there you go. So you can follow Jeremy on Twitter with that. And we're also going to tweet and Facebook as well his contacts and his fan side page. So thanks for joining us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for having me on. Like, again, I love talking hockey and Avs hockey, and I've checked out your show, and I appreciate what you guys bring to the table, and just thanks for the platform, and everyone keeps supporting Jablam Hockey.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Have a good one.
All right, and now time for some season award predictions. Where should we start with this? Do you want to start more in terms of like, let's go with rookies.
Deal.
All right. What are your top 4 picks?
Whoa, top 4?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
So how many did you pick? Just 3?
I've got 4, but I figured we would go 3 because 3's the candidate number. Let's do 3.
Sure.
3.
Go ahead.
Austin Matthews, 10 points, 1.67 points per game. He's got to be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2,
yep.
Zach Werenski. He's playing lights out on the back end for the Blue Jackets, who are not playing that great. 5 points, a point per game player. And then William Nylander, a second Leaf, getting in there with 1.5 points per game. Those are my 3.
Wow. So, what was the order there? Say that again.
Matthews, Werenski, Nylander.
And these are 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Wow. I'm gonna go with my number 1. And again, maybe I made these picks a little early, but I went with Patrick Laine.
Interesting.
As the top guy, just because I feel that he's going to get a lot of goals. So that means he has the best chance to win. My number 2 is Austin Matthews. And my number 3 was Provorov.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I had Werenski as my number 4. But yeah, so those are my 1, 2, and 3 there. Yeah, I don't know how Provorov will project by the end of the season, but I just feel he's that dominant that he will be looked at and maybe fill in for that last spot on the Calder. And why didn't you pick Laine?
He was my number 4. He
was your flyer. Okay.
Yeah, I think he'll get buried because of the guys he's playing with. Like, he's playing with Scheifele, so I think that's what will lower his stock, I guess you could say. I think he will outscore. A lot of
points because he's playing with them. He's getting a lot of points, and that didn't hurt. What's his name from last year? Panarin, right? Playing with Kane, it didn't hurt him.
True.
It helped him, I think.
True, but I think Matthews is going to have a lot of spotlight, and everybody's going to fall in love with him because he's in that spotlight every single night.
Same thing with Nylander, then.
Yeah, I think Nylander's going to be pretty decent. If he's playing with Matthews, I think they're already showing chemistry together, so I think they're both going to have a pretty good year.
Wow, hopefully. All right, let's go move to the best defensive forward, the Frank Selke. My top 3 picks. Let's go backwards. Kessler, I picked with my number 3. Kopitar with my number 2. And Bergeron with my number 1. He seems to win it almost every year. Yours?
Yeah, you pick such normal picks.
Yes.
I'm going way
I didn't know who to go out of the box. Even my number 4 was like, I'll go with Jonathan Tays as my number 4. So I didn't know who to go out of the box for this.
You're just like the NHL.
And you know what? For this award, they seem to go the norm. Like, by the end of the season, my own personal picks would be totally different because I like to pick players who actually play the PK all the time and are specifically defensive forwards all the time, not guys that are, top scorers in the league that are also good defensively, which is what the NHL seems to do.
All right.
So your picks.
I'm going Tavares. It's kind of off the cuff. That's my 3rd. Mm-hmm. And my other 2 are off the cuff too. Antoine Vermette.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy off the board.
Yeah, and then I think he's going to have a bigger role than you think in Anaheim. So.
Yeah.
And Jordan Staal, he's got to get in on this at some point in his career. He just has to. He's such a good defensive player and puts up offense. Like he should have been nominated at least once or twice in his career already. And yes, I am very biased towards Jordan Staal. I do have a man crush. I'm admitting it.
I think you've admitted it too many times.
That's okay. He's got to win the Frank Selke at least once in his career. Has to.
No, this is the NHL. I'm going by how the NHL thinks, and I'm going to go with these guys, and I'm probably going to be – I think I'm not going to be far off.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
That's got to change.
Let's go to Let's go to Lady Bing. The Sportsmanlike Award. You know what? I went with my number 3, Claude Giroux. Then number 2, Tarasenko. And number 1, Ryan O'Reilly. And I went for my fourth pick, my extra pick, I actually did go and pick Austin Matthews. I feel that this is an award. I feel that this is an award that maybe not this year, but in his career, he could win this award a few times.
Interesting. All right, I got Jonathan Marchessault off to a pretty banging start already, and
yeah, he's playing really well with Yager.
He's not a penalty minute guy, so that definitely weighs heavy on the people making the decisions. I also picked Vladimir Tarasenko number 2.
Yep.
And I picked number 1, Austin Matthews.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I definitely think he's going to put up points, and I don't think he's a guy that likes to sit in the box. So,
yeah, he looks like a player that he doesn't make a lot of infractions at all. Like the way he plays, I never see him like high stick players, or he doesn't hit that much. And so, yeah, he's a good pick to be in contention for Lady Bing, that's for sure.
And he doesn't look like he chirps the refs ever.
Yeah,
like he just plays. He just plays. He doesn't have that mantra of like when Crosby came in, where he just chirped the refs and whined at the refs. He doesn't have any of that in his after whistle play.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move to the defenseman. Let's go with the award we created, the Bobby Orr Award, as we like to call it, for the best offensive defenseman. Who did you have?
Number 3, Erik Karlsson.
Yep. Number 3.
Yeah.
You moving him down, eh?
Yeah, you're going to be blown away with my number 1. Brent Burns, number 2.
Yep.
And career year for Shea Weber.
Because you're already looking at his stats, and Montreal's giving him every opportunity because they need him to compete with Subban's stats.
Well, and they have nobody else. Nobody else can carry the puck on that back end. Like, who are they going to rely on?
Only 50 years old.
No, he's still got game. You watch the World Cup, he's still got game. Don't you worry.
Yeah. But yeah, so. Yeah,
and then my dark horse is Rasmus Ristolainen. I really like Ristolainen. Yes.
Yeah, doesn't. My picks. I'll go with my dark horse, and it's Letang should always get some love, and I'm giving him as the 4th spot. And then the other 3 are I guess the obvious ones. I went with Brent Burns as number 3. Number 2, I think Subban's going to get every opportunity to put up a lot of points on this Nashville Blue Line. And, of course, the usual Erik Karlsson for number 1. So, all right, let's move on to the Norris, and as we like to call it, the best defensive defenseman. My picks, number 3, Duncan Keith. Number 2, Drew Doughty. And I picked him as the number 1 for best defensive defenseman because he's now on Montreal, Shea Weber.
Nice.
Yeah. So, you know what? The way he's playing so far this year, it's true. They're giving him more of an offensive role. So it'll be interesting because I don't know how. It just seems like he's getting every opportunity to put up points for Montreal so far this year, right? So,
and he's got Price behind him, who's gonna pad his stats big time.
For sure. Your picks?
Mark Giordano, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Ryan Suter. And number 1, Shea Weber. Sweeping Sweeping the defenseman awards for Paul Zolnik.
It's hilarious, though, that in the offseason, after this trade happened, everybody was like, this is the worst trade ever. We're getting rid of the worst player. And here we are. We're making these awards. And you give him number one for best offensive and defensive for some reason. And I'm giving him also number one for best defensive defenseman. Yeah, Shea Weber. Like, he's still a solid defenseman. And, you know, the length of his contract might hurt the Habs later on. Right now, he's a solid guy.
The trade was still a bad idea. Bad PR move, bad off-ice. Subban does so much for a community that the Canadians just bypassed. And I know Weber's a big community guy too, but like Subban had stuff set up in Montreal for the community, the fans, and they just threw it all away. I think that was just a real bad move.
But you know what? In my opinion, maybe it was a good move for Montreal on the ice in terms of the direction this team wants to play, and they didn't want an offensive defenseman. I think as especially as their number one, you know.
I don't think they like the personality of Subban, the showy, flashy.
I think that's number one. That would be it with how they didn't like him being too much of a focal point on their team and everything. But Shea Weber's going to bring maybe what they need more for their back end, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, let's move on to another award. Let's go with the best goalie, the Vezina. My picks, I'm going to go with mine 4-1. Corey Crawford, I'm picking as my number 4. Schneider as my number 3. Holtby number 2, and Carey Price number 1. I think that's kind of the consensus. Yours, Paul?
I got Corey Schneider number 3. Cam Talbot number 2.
Wow.
And Carey Price number 1.
Do you really think Talbot's going to be this good throughout the whole season?
I think he's going to pile on the wins.
Wow. I really can't see this happening for the Oilers like this easily. There's going to be some tough stretches, and that'll show their true colors, at least for this year, for this Oiler team, and how Cam Talbot plays. We'll see. But so far, he's looking like a huge stud for them in between the pipes so far.
Yeah, he's good. He's going to play nearly every game, and he's going to.
Did you see? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
He's going to play nearly every game, and he's going to pretty much, like, say Edmonton wins 40 games, 45. You can get to like 90 points, 88 points. He's going to get all those wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they keep on going and if they get into the playoffs, but I don't know. I still don't see them getting there. Did you see the game that the Oilers played? I think it was Wednesday against the Caps.
No, I did not.
Oh my God, he looked amazing, and also the Caps possessing the puck and getting more of the shots on against the Oilers, but the Oilers still somehow found a way to win. It was unbelievable. Like I think the first 2 periods, I was watching most of the game, and they were totally controlling them. I thought the Caps, and the Oilers just waited until they found a few rare opportunities, and they scored. So. Wow, good for them, and they're getting the bounces right now too. That's what I feel too. The Oilers are getting the bounces. It seems like they're getting the penalty calls, and it's going to even out by the end of the year. That's the other thing. So it's going to be tough. Like the other game too. I can't remember. I think it was versus Calgary. Giordano had a breakaway basically. Not Giordano, sorry. Johnny Hockey, Gaudreau, had like a breakaway, and he got kind of hooked and slashed and pulled. Didn't get the penalty call for the penalty shot. They go up the ice. McDavid gets hooked and gets pulled down. McDavid gets the penalty shot and scores. So
that's the McDavid factor.
Yeah, that too. So that's how it's looking. And hey, you know what? If you're not watching McDavid, you should be. He's a beauty.
Yeah.
All right. Were we talking about goalies? Yeah. For some reason, I think we were. Let's move on. GM of the year. My picks. My number 4 is my dark horse. If the Bruins make the playoffs somehow, I think Sweeney will get nominated. My top 3, Eisman on the Lightning, Poley on the Preds, and Bergevin for the Habs. Hilarious again, 1 and 2, the Preds GM and the Habs GM.
Interesting. I got 3, Chuck Fletcher.
Yep.
The Minnesota Wild. Peter Chiarelli, my number 2. And Ken Holland, number 1. If he gets these Red Wings to the playoffs again, he's got to win GM. Like, just because he's been there for so long shouldn't mean that he shouldn't get GM of the year.
It's hilarious that you're making these picks, but you actually predicted these teams don't make the playoffs.
I know. It's okay.
You picked the Wild to be like second last in the conference, but you picked their GM as the third one, and as well with the
after making all my award selections, I was like, I think I'm in love with Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Oh well, that happened. Maybe I'm just hedging my bets.
Yeah. I think you're evening out. Like, you're either right here or you're right there.
That's right. I'm going to be right at least somewhere.
All right, let's move on. The Jack Adams Award for Best Coach. My dark horse, and again, if they make the playoffs somehow, it's got to be Babcock for the Maple Leafs. Number 3, Todd McClellan, of course, for the Oilers. I really think these two have a good chance at being one of the top 3, and that's Paul Maurice for the Jets. I feel, they should make the playoffs, and he's got to be nominated. And then Hackstall for the Flyers. I really feel that he has a good shot at being nominated this year, at least.
And again, I go with guys that I don't think are making the playoffs. Maybe I should have looked at my teams that were making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. Number 3, Willie Desjardins.
Yeah.
I think if he gets anywhere out of the basement for Vancouver, their team is so terrible that if he can get them just to finish 82 games, he should get the award.
Complete the season. It doesn't matter how bad they are. If they complete the season, he deserves any award.
Exactly. Alain Vigneault with the Rangers, and Todd McClellan as the Oilers coach. See how I'm going here? It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it is very ridiculous. Like, no shot. Maybe McClellan if the Oilers make the playoffs, but Vigneault... No,
Desjardins getting it if he finishes 82 games. It's like a sympathy award. Like, thanks for taking this team on.
Oh my god. Yeah, if he gets them to second last spot in the NHL, you're getting nominated.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go to points. Let's go to Art with the Art Ross first. My dark horses, if to be in the top 3, are Austin Matthews and Tarasenko. Pick 2 in the 4th spot. Sid the Kid for number 3, Patrick Kane for number 2, and of course, Connor McDavid for the number 1 spot for the Art Ross. Paul, yours?
Ben, Crosby, and McDavid.
Solid picks. How's Ben doing so far? Do you know?
I have not watched a single Stars game. I know they play all-out offense and very little defense. That's all I've heard.
Mm-hmm. I think he's playing that well so far. I wasn't even thinking about him at all, but yeah, Ben should be in the league top 5, you'd think. Yeah. I don't know even why I went with Matthews. I think that was a heart pick for me.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
Because I love the Leafs. So I had to give
crush on Austin Matthews. It happens.
For sure. And moving on from the Art Ross, what about the Rocket? Who would be your save picks?
I'm gonna go. Perry gets back to his scoring ways.
Wow. Okay.
Tarasenko and Stamkos.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Tarasenko as my number 1. Ovechkin, and then McDavid.
Okay.
Pick those ones on the fly because I didn't even write that down actually on my list. All right, and then we end with the MVP. Right? Is that the only one that's left?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Who are your picks, Paul?
I'm going to go Price is number 3.
Wow. Okay.
Brent Burns, number 2. And McDavid. I wanted one from every position. Those are my hearts.
My hearts and my dark horse that I did pick for the 4th. I just want to, if the Oilers somehow get in the playoffs, McDavid's going to get nominated. I don't think they will. That's why he's my dark horse. Number 3, Sid the Kid. Number 2, Tarasenko. And number 1, Price. If the Blues end up being a top team again, I feel that Tarasenko is going to be a good shot at actually getting nominated for the MVP. So
interesting.
Yep. Those are our picks, and we're going to post them on the Facebook group, Jablam Hockey on Facebook. All right, and what do we have next? Paul, do you got some fantasy up and down for us?
Yeah, I got some quick picks of guys that are on top lines, or lines that have been the most productive that you could probably get a hold of, and they probably weren't drafted. Darren Helm, 12% owned. He's got 6 points in 7 games. Jonathan Marchessault, 40% owned, so you might be late on the train of picking him up, but he's got 8 points in 6 games.
He's on fire. Do you think he can keep this going, though?
No, because he's filling in for Huberdeau on that top line.
Yeah, so you're thinking, just saying, pick him for the next 2 weeks kind of thing.
Yeah, and then as soon as Huberdeau comes back, he's get rid of him and pick up the next hot guy. Mm-hmm. Victor Rask is playing on the top line in Carolina. 18% owned, 7 points in 6 games. These 3 guys, I believe, you should be able to grab, and you're not going to hold on to them for long. Mm-hmm. These aren't guys like these are the guys that you took wild late round picks and they didn't hit for you.
Yeah.
So drop those guys and pick up the guys that are playing well right off the bat.
Now, is there any goalie out there that you would pick up? I guess it would be a goalie that's a temporary one, like maybe a Markstrom or something like that.
What I don't understand is how Steve Mason is only 50% owned.
I still feel that, like myself, I thought Neuwirth would be getting at least 50% of the games, and then he would win more for the Flyers. So, But Mason's getting the more of the opportunity, right?
Yeah, and he's a starting goalie. He's going to get you your goalie starts. If you're looking for a goalie right now, you're in trouble with your goalie starts.
Yeah,
like you're either Jonathan Quick is on your team,
that's
or
the problem. Some of them have goalie injuries, right? Rask. If you're in, I don't know what these teams are going to do right now with LA and Boston. Subban didn't look good between the pipes for the Bruins.
No, and LA brought in Khudobin. No, not Khudobin.
Yeah.
Lindback.
No.
Anders Lindback.
Yeah, because
and
they can't go with.
Yeah, he went to Ontario Reign for conditioning stint, I think, and then he will be called up. But pick up Peter Budaj. He's playing for LA. LA's a pretty decent team. So your peripheral stats might hurt, but he's going to get wins.
Did you hear about the story in the Ontario Reign with the goalies?
Yeah, the son and father.
Yes, hilarious. I loved it because the LA Kings are having so many goalie problems with their injuries now with Quick and Zakhoff. Now for the Ontario Reign, their AHL team, the father, who was I think the goalie coach,
yes,
is now the backup, and they called on short notice the son, Jonah Emu, 22 years old, to be the starting goalie on the Ontario Reign. Hilarious. First time ever in professional hockey, a father and son goalie tandem. Hilarious. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's a pretty cool little story.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Check it out online. You'll probably find it if you type in Ontario Reign or father and son AHL goalie duo. Great story.
Another. I got one more goalie. Connor Hellebuck. He's only 33% owned. You're going to have to be patient with him. He's going to be starting most games. Like right now they're playing Hellebuck, Hutchison back and forth, but Hellebuck's going to take that net. He's just knocking off the rust.
Yeah. Paul, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Or,
Hockey Fights Cancer is the next 3 weeks. Just want to make mention that NHL is wearing pink or the fuchsia color, and they're having players put up signs for "I fight for," and I would like to let you know, Peter, that I fight for my grandpa, Curly Skeeman. He passed away from lung cancer. So, yeah, it's this time of year is definitely hits home hard, especially when I watch hockey and all the guys are wearing fuchsia and pink and stuff. And I'm pretty sure everybody in this world has somebody that was affected by cancer. So, yeah, sure. I think it's a pretty neat sentiment that they have out there.
Yeah, it's an important fight. It's great to see all athletes around the world and even other organizations being a part of something this important. It's good to see, too, on the ice. I see some teams even have the color on the advertisements on the boards, too.
Yeah, they do. They have a special night. Every team has a special night, and they change up everything fuchsia. Their warm-up jerseys are fuchsia. All the coaches and broadcast guys wear the fuchsia tie. It's pretty neat to see. Anders Nielsen made a special helmet for it. Nice. I'll put in the show notes the tweet that was sent out from, I think the Sabres sent it out. But yeah, it was a Hockey Fights Cancer helmet that he had made for tonight's game.
Yeah. And check our website, jablamhockey.com. Paul's going to post our game notes again. We're going to have some tidbits from like the contract, from Lindholm, Mike Commodore's tweet, other stuff. They're going to be in the game notes. And again, on iTunes, please resubscribe or subscribe if you haven't. Rate and review us on iTunes. Check out our Facebook group, Jablam Hockey as well on there. And next episode, we're going to team ISO the Vancouver Canucks. We're going to have a bit of a Jablam Junior Hockey update. And we're bringing back the nickname generator. We're going to give you some ideas, and if anybody wants to throw out some ideas for a new nickname for, as I like to call him, Awesome Matthews. Paul doesn't like that nickname. No. I think it's great. Paul wants a new nickname. So what other nicknames could Austin have? Maybe even a new one for next year. We'll see. All right. See you next week.
Bye.